Okay, back with another video. One of these days I'll figure out the lighting system here, but I did want to show my pickups from the local stamp show. It's about 25 minutes away, if that. I got there really quickly, probably 15-20 minutes, well not 15 minutes, probably like 20 minutes it took me to get there, not very long at all. And I had a bunch of friends that had to bow out. One was going off to the record show, another one was probably going off to the record show. Saw some people there and they basically like, whatever. So, if they saw me, they could take it or leave it. And the same thing with them, but we just exchanged pleasantries and that's about it. And then when I went to the show, I said, you know what, this guy, I got in the door and everybody zooms to their favorite tables right away. I say everybody, but certain tables, there's a guy that has the 25-cent boxes, but people go over there because they're filling up complete collections, like plate blocks. And he has crazy amounts of stuff, and he charges, basically face value for more or less everything. There's a few things that have a premium on it, but for most things, it's all face value. And they go through his face value box. But there was other people with face value stamps, but they don't go through those. For whatever reason, they go to that guy. And, there's really no discounts because the discounts are technically already built in. And then I said, well, this guy, I've dealt with him before. He looks like he's going to be by himself for most of the show. So I just went over there and spent, $8 or something at his table. I got a couple of NASA items. So I'll show you those here very quickly. And I just got home. So I want to show everything how it came. So I got this bag here. Fred Meyer for everyone, fresh for everyone. And I used that for my stuff here. One of the first things I picked up here were these face value sheets from the face value sheet guy and Voice of America, and that's a Voice of America stamps there, 5 cents, $2.50 for the sheet. And I bought 3 of those because I'm going to give those to my friend there. He said he would pay me back for those. We'll see. But anyway, so I got those, and he's going to either frame those or use those for something. And that's very cool. I could not find him any of the stamps of the amateur radio because those have a premium. And then, well, those are some baseball cards I had for somebody, but then I'll just show you what, towards the end of the show, you start buying things you don't really need. That's what usually happens. But I bought all kinds of things. Now, when you go to a stamp show, you think it's just a bunch of people looking for very specific foreign stamps. And that's a good fraction of the people they're looking for some. Do you have a 1923, special perforation cancel type stamp from Bulgaria? It's like, oh, great. And there are people that have those, and boxes of those. Move that out of the way here. But we'll just do everything here. This is just an envelope that I could put my stamps in, so one of those. That was in that just stamps had come out of those. It just, somebody bought those and not the little envelope. But again, those were just, but I didn't get them in there. And then just for face value postage, I got lots of different amounts here. There's 15s and 22, a whole bunch of 3-cent stamps. So they cost me the exact same price it cost me back whenever they were printed in the 50s to the 70s. And then I got a whole bunch of little block collection. Somebody's little block collection there, plate block or whatever you want to call it, blocks of 4. Some people collect blocks of 8, some people collect blocks of 4, whatever they want to collect. And there's another one of those. And people will rip apart full sheets to sell these for double the amount on eBay. That's exactly what happens. 10-cent sort of thing. We may not be able to see with the light there. Sorry, the light there. 10-cent. We'll try to figure this out here. But again, I bought a pile of 1-centers for 1 cent a piece. There's a nice Abraham Lincoln. The light was not so bad, but when I turn on the video, I guess it is now. That's with some inclement weather here. But there's all that stuff. Lots of 1-centers in there. So it takes a while to get those, and it makes a huge dent in the dealer's inventory. There's a bunch of, I'm trying to get the light here, half-cent stamps. Those are, and people say, that's just a sin to use those. But 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 5 cents worth of stamps there that could go on letters and make somebody's day. I'll ignore some more of the 1-cent stamps because I've got a lot of stuff here. Got an old black and white or sepia tone or whatever postcard of somebody. Don't know who it is. Comet Photo Studios Incorporated. I paid $1 for this one here. Just thought that was a nice, turn of the century gentleman there from like the teens or so. So that's kind of neat there. Hopefully you can see that well enough there. It shows it's much nicer in person there. Paid $1 for that. Then I got a bunch of these. And the post office, I'm not sure if they still sell any of these. This was the love stamp there. That was 25 cents for that, so I paid face value. But then I got, you know, another 25, another 25, but then we got a 29, and I have more of those. I have more envelopes. Now this is towards the end of the day, say end of the day, because I was only there for 3 hours, 10, 11, 12, 12:30, 1. Maybe I left at 1 and I was getting very tired. Serie Pre-Olympica at 67. Got the nice soccer shot there. Official philatelic, Mexican philatelic. So there's Mexico, what it says, 88 or 68? It looks like 88 there, but I think it's 68. And it says 67 there. And then there's a bunch of Mexico stamps in there, all canceled and everything. Kind of a neat little souvenir thing, and that was $1 for that, so I thought that was kind of neat. But I mainly bought it because it has the soccer on the front there, so that is very cool. It's 1967. And who knows what that would be on eBay. Then we got, of course, we upgraded to 37-cent stamps there. So for $0.25 each, you know, I saved a few cents there on each, and then they're already on envelopes, so I just had to add the postage. Another one of those. Get a better look at it, hopefully you can see that, 37 cents. This is a Canadian commemorative from 1994, International Year of the Family. And it's, don't know how many stamps are on there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this fancy cover here, those are stamps on there, on a little mini sheet or whatever, and that was $0.25 for that. So you can really get a beautiful, beautiful stamp collection there for nothing. Then we have this one here, and I apologize for any kind of light inconvenience here. This one says U.S. Olympic Team on here, on this postcard of some kind. And it was from France, and it says, or sorry, Italy. Rome, Italy, August 25th, 1960. On behalf of the entire United States Olympic team, we send you greetings and best wishes on the occasion of the opening day of the Games of the XVII Olympiad in Rome. And somebody in Washington had requested this or something like that. So that's very neat, or got this. So that was very cool there. Olympic history. I just threw this in there. Health stamps assist health camps or something like that from Australia, I believe that is. So if you're an Australian, or sorry, New Zealand, oops, excuse me, New Zealander, that's kind of a fun little one there. Nothing super special there, 3 different stamps there. So there's that one there. And then we got one from ye old Scotland here. Somebody in New York had this mailed to them. First day cover office of Scotland, new definitive values. They don't use those anymore, so I'll cover up the date there, or the address there. But there's a 3.5p, 5.5p, and because they all have the Queen, you cannot use those anymore. But at one time, those were usable. Now we'll get into some more stuff here. I know several of my viewers will be jealous of this. A guy had a bunch of foreign currency, and $1 is about what you should expect to pay. No more. But the last show that I went to, which is actually more of a coin show, people are charging stupid money for this kind of stuff. Some of these things are worth 50 cents. Some of these things can be worth as much as $5 or so. So we'll show you all the currency I got, and I got 12 for $10. So there's a Vietnam bill here with a man on a tractor. That's very, very old, and there was like a staple or a hole there, so I'm not sure what that is. That's probably not worth a whole lot, but just for the history, like Vietnam War history, that's pretty neat, you know. And we have another one. I counted those as my free ones, I guess. There's another one with a couple on there. And don't really know what's going on the back there because it's really beat up and faded. Some sort of building there. Palace. Then we have an uncirculated Zaire dollars. And again, that probably cost me $2 or $3 on eBay because of just, you know, cost of everything. I don't know what foreign currency is costing these days. They're really cheap looking bill there, but Bank of Zaire. Then we have our favorite Zimbabwe, so I got $100 million for $1. So I thought that was worth it. You can tell it's been used and beat up and stuff like that, but for those used ones, that's pretty good condition. AA3210008. And again, people look at those numbers there, and if it's something kind of cool looking, they charge a lot for them. Then we have this Bhutan dollar. I don't have much from Bhutan, but it looks like they staple them together and then just peel them off when they need them. I'm not exactly sure how they come, but that was a pretty mint one there, probably from the 70s, I'm guessing. Anywhere between the 50s and the 70s is my guess there. Could be the 80s. And then we have another Bank of Zaire from 79. And again, I collect foreign currency, mostly African currency, and I have most of what I can get there. Zaire is a country I already have, but at one time I needed those and I would love to have those. Then we got the Bank of Brazil. Unfortunately, there's a rip on it, but I just like this guy here. He just kind of looks like, you know, a explorer or some kind of, you know, early 1900s dude, 1800s. And I don't know when this was, but I'm guessing 50s or 60s. There's unfortunately a huge damage right there, ink damage of some kind. I don't understand what happened there. Something eat through there. I didn't see that when I got that, but it'll display pretty neat on the front there. Again, these are kind of things you can throw into a frame or make a cool display out of. This one was almost mint condition here, and this is Japan, Japanese government. 1,000 pesos, war currency type of thing there, and I paid $1 for that, and I just thought that was really cool. I didn't have one of those. Then I got the Banco del Central del Paraguay, and that's more or less an uncirculated bill. These uncirculated bills get really beat up in the dollar section there, and again, for $1, nobody was looking at these. Some kids were eventually, and I don't know if they bought any, but. And then the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, $20. You don't see, I mean, at least I don't see the small amounts very often, but $20 from Zimbabwe. Nothing special about the number there. We got one from Biafra. People ask anywhere between $2 and $5 for these here, and £1. And it was a country in Africa that no longer exists, and their currency basically didn't really get much use, so, or if any at all. So these are uncirculated dollar bills or pound notes from Biafra, so you can look that up. A neat piece of history there. And a Vietnamese bill, probably from the 70s or 80s, 70s to 90s or whenever, and is in really good condition. So 500 whatever it is, and I thought that was cool to grab that one. I did not have that one, so again, if it's any kind of washed out here, it's just looking really terrible in the light here. There's that one. Now we're not even started hardly. Crazy amounts of stuff here. These are something called Postal Buddy, authorized United States Postal Service, change of address station, Postal Buddy. I don't know what all this is stuff and everything here. And these look like postcards or something like that, but they're 19 cents each or whatever that is. And it's a fun little sheet there. I probably will keep that all mint, and that was a quarter. That was a quarter. I mean, I hit a lot of quarter stuff. Now we're going to get to some really good stuff here. This is from Pomeroy, Washington from 1916. And look at this. Okay, Pomeroy, Washington. It looks like nothing right there, okay? We're almost at the halfway point here. It's some sort of Bear aspirin. We sell genuine aspirin. We sell genuine aspirin tablets. This was a quarter. But then you unfold it this way and this way. Oh, there was actually a postcard in there. And it's actually some sort of crazy Bear aspirin display or something like that. Look at this. People don't look at this stuff. It's a huge, weird fold-out Bear aspirin thing. That could be like a $20, $30, $40 item there that I got for a quarter. And it came with a postcard in there. And then there's like how you're supposed to display your Bear aspirin in the store. And so it was, you know, it was a little fold-out that you put in your store, which is crazy. I never seen anything like this amazing fold-out here. And then this postcard came out of there, window display and dealer electrotypes. And that was it, that came in there. That was 25 cents for that one. This one here says Uptown Stamp Show. Stamps never got canceled, so you know what I do with those. Perfect thing there to have. Then we got a 39-cent aerogram, and you're like, what do you do with this? Really, what do you do with that? Well, it's like, well, there's another one stuck to it here. 39 and 39, basically that equals 39 cents times 2. So I turn them into inside envelopes or return envelopes, depending on which size of envelope. You just fold them up and gum them together, whatever like that, and then just write your name on it, and it's just a nice envelope there. They might have stuck together, but this guy was not particular at all. So, couple of 45 centers right there. So those become 45-cent envelopes. And again, they were mainly to be used for overseas type stuff. And here's one that somebody's already folded up here, 39 and 3 cents and 3 cents. Again, that was 25 cents for that one. So do the math on there. 25 cents minus 39. But then you forget there's another 6 on there, so that's even better. Got a 25-cent space envelope here with the little hologram there. Another 29, so I save, what, 4 cents or something like that. A couple more that have 4 cents saved on it. Again, they stuck together, but I think I paid for that. I'm pretty sure I did that one there. And I was very careful to count everything 2 and 3 times. I found a Forever envelope there, so very happy to grab that Forever. Again, that's a Forever envelope. It's going to be used forever, so 78 cents, and that was 25 cents. We're pretty much down to, here's another one here with one stamp that was only canceled, so we got a 33, a 15, and a 10. We got something from George Washington, get it? George, Washington, 1989. That was not $2, that was $1. Couple of items I paid $1 a piece for in here because I bought it from a guy and I feel bad because he has usually very expensive stuff or just foreign stamps. This one here, I don't know what to do with it because it has technically an unused ancient 10-cent airmail stamp on there. That might have been worth something back in the day. But none of this was ever really mailed or canceled, like somebody was going to mail it and never did, out of a town that's very close to where I live. There's an ancient 2-center from like 1931. There's a 70s or 60s 10-centers, and there's another 10-cent from like the 20s there. Very crazy to have those on there. This one here was a quarter. This one says "Love Thy Neighbor." It's kind of a joke where the guy's trying to kiss the woman there. So there's that one there. Again, it's in a plastic envelope. That was a quarter. This was also a quarter. Fred Ferguson. I don't know. These are some people there. So again, I like to go with the old-fashioned photo postcards there if I can get them. This one was just unique. It says PG&E Float Grand Floral Parade. Portland, Oregon. The guy is out of Aloha, and he makes these photo postcards, or at least he did back then. So he had this big stamp that says photo postcard. So back in 2012 or 2002, he made John Staub made photo postcards there and just took photographs and made them postcards. Then I got Kuykendalls, and I don't know what it is, but somebody spent $2.07 or $2.70 or I don't know what it was that they spent there. It says $2.00. I don't know what that is because it looks like a $2 with over a 7 or something. I am not exactly sure, but that's an unusual Pomeroy State Bank. So a lot of Pomeroy stuff. This is from 1923, and there's like a punch out in there and a stamp there. So that's kind of, I say stamp, but a cancellation of some kind there. Unusual. I got Planters Nut and Chocolate Company. So again, that's a full envelope there. Most of the stuff from Pomeroy, somebody had sliced the backs of the envelopes up and saved nothing, but Palmer's Nut and Chocolate Company out of Boston, Massachusetts, says buy U.S. savings bonds. It was basically 1.5 cents to mail that back then. Then we have a couple of baseball items here. I know there should have been more of them, and there's 3 baseball items here. I got the American Legion Baseball World Series of Yakima, Washington, August 31st, September 1978. Very kind of homemade-y type of cover there, so that's kind of neat. That was 15 cents there. That's neat. I mean, not 15, but the stamp was 15 cents. Happens every spring, 100 years of Spokane baseball, so Spokane Station, or IEPX, station, 1986. There's the Roberto Clemente stamp. There's a bunch of baseball items there, and I got a few. Then we have this one here, first day of issue, from Beachville, Ontario, Canada. Not exactly sure what's going on there, but there's some sort of event going on there. But there's a ball and a glove there with a diamond, and it is commemorating the Expos and the Blue Jays. He had a whole stack of those for a quarter, and I could have got one for everybody on YouTube, but I didn't. Because you didn't go to the stamp show, I did. I'm just kidding. Another 25 cent one of those. Another 45 cent. Another 45 cent. Again, you can guess how much I paid for those. Oh, I don't know. Is it 25 cents? Then I don't know if I'm going to use this, but I got a return envelope, or for me it might be a return envelope. It's never been used. Canada, 32 cents. So if I send somebody to Canada, I'll use that and then just throw some more stamps on it. Hopefully that will get me going. Again, it was not a huge savings because I'm saving, 7, 8, 9, 10 cents or whatever. 25 and probably 7 cents I'm saving, but still kind of fun to maybe use that. And again, it was not used before, so it's unused. And then we've got the Commonwealth, a political newspaper envelope here from 1903. I know there's a couple other items that I haven't shown you, but I just haven't... Oh, because there's more items in here. And then I got a 60-cent envelope, so I will be using that one, 60, and I just need another 18 on there to get that going. I got some more stuff here. I've got a postcard here. This is the the Pittsburgh Delegation Knight Templar Conclave, Denver, Colorado. August 12th through 15th, 1913. That's cool, and it's an unused postcard. That was $1. And then I got this for $1. It's Postal Service first anniversary D-Day. Something, I don't know, but they're all Philippine stamps or something like that. And it's got victory stamped over the 20 cent. Those victory stamps are actually really collectible. Very, very cool there. Unfortunately, there's, but you're not going to find any without an address on there. But yeah, really cool. Philippine stamps. And it looks like a U.S., and it was made by the United States and put on there. That's a really cool piece of history there. Now we got one little baggie here, and this is where I first went to. And we're almost done here. We're like 20 minutes or something like that. Hopefully I have enough time here. This is Ray Sedon, and I believe that's an actual autograph. Some of them had like to the so-and-so family by whatever astronaut on it. So these are TTMs or something somebody put together there. So this is all put together. NASA Space Shuttle there. That was done a long time ago when it was 29 cents to do so. Then I'm not sure who this is. I don't know who that is. It looks like Sammy. So I'll have to do my homework on that one. I may not have that particular person. These were $3 each. The guy has them all the time because they never sell to anybody there. Nobody's ever thought to look at them. And because people don't want to spend $3 on an autograph that may or may not be. But these more or less look like not auto pen for all of them. The shuttle astronauts. I don't know how much they used auto pen there. This one maybe could be, but I don't think so the way it looks like it's signed. So very, very cool to have that one there. Now these are 20-cent postcards. We have the White House before any demolition or construction has been done to it. So there's that one there. Brand new White House postcard. Then we have a photograph or something. I don't know what that is. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but some women and a man, I don't know what that is. It looks like there's something there, and then who knows, it was like some weird photograph type thing there. Don't know what that is. Then we have a space postcard here from somewhere, probably Florida. Then we have another one of an experimental aircraft. So there's that one. We got Robert Goddard. Again, I don't know what I'm going to do with those. The light is changing. Then we got some expedition, some sort of Arctic type expedition, but it was a mass-produced photograph because it's got this markings on the back of here. So I want to say it probably came with like a first day cover, but I like these because they're just cool and it looks really neat. It talks about 1959 in the background, so more like a mass-marketed photograph of some kind there. Then we have the only one I saw in the whole show. This is out of St. Helens, Oregon. It's one of those ham radio type cards there. So very cool, CB or ham radio type of thing there. We've got this one here, which is kind of cool. It's got a Swiss airplane in the background there. And I thought it was a postcard, but it's actually a fold-out with some Swiss stamps on there. Again, these were 20 cents a piece here. Nobody was looking at the 20-cent guy. Then I found some sort of weird postcard of a cello. So that's kind of neat. You don't see that very often. Yeah, very cool. It talks about a bunch of stuff on the Captain Allen Hancock's favorite cello. Copy of 1739, Dominicus, I can't read that, by Luther Fred Artendale of San Luis Obispo, dated 1962. I'm not exactly sure what this is, but, it's I don't know. There's some guy made a copy of that, whatever. And then just some cool rocks there. And that was the show. That was a very, very, very neat, I mean, I could have easily spent triple what I got. 4 times. There was just so much. And there's only 10 vendors. But these vendors had mountains and mountains of items. A guy brings something like $6,000 to $10,000 at least of postage there. At least. At the very least. And these are all in denominations between, 4 cents, 3 cents, 4 cents, 5 cents. The 3-cent sheets were double the cost, so if you wanted an antique 3-cent stamp sheet from like the 19 whatevers, then the 40s or 50s, then they were basically double the price, which is very much nothing because there could be 50 cents on the sheet or $1 on the sheet, and it's only a couple bucks to get those. How crazy is that with the lowest prices? And I was seeing slightly younger crowd there, not a lot, but there were a few younger people, but these dealers are not getting any younger, and they're going to be disappearing pretty quickly. So there may not be necessarily shows like this. Now, one dealer is only 8 years older than I am from what I gathered, because he was talking about when he was 13 and and said when he did something X amount or whatever. So that would put him, probably, I am not exactly sure when that would put him there, but it would put him in his, probably, at the very least, the early 60s. And then there was another guy who was talking about age or something like that, and so he was all well into, whatever. So that was pretty fun. I spent a lot of time here. My gosh, that's 25 minutes. Thank you for watching.